New reports clearly confirm Arya migration into India. The Arya were Central Asian steppe pastoralists who arrived in India between roughly 2000 BCE and 2000 and 1500 BCE and brought Indo-European languages to the subcontinent. The last time a paper titled The Genomic Formation of South and Central Asia was released online in March 2018. It created a sensation in India and around the world, mostly because the paper, co-authored by 92 scientists, 92 is 911, many of them doyens of different disciplines, said that between 2000 BCE and 1000 BCE, there were significant migrations from the Central Asian steppe that most likely brought Indo-European languages into India, just as steppe migrations into Europe 8,000 years earlier, beginning around 3000 BCE has spread Indo-European languages to that continent as well. In other words, the paper supported the long-held idea of an Aryan migration into India, or to put it more accurately, a migration of Indo-European language-speaking people who called themselves Arya. Even more evidence. Well, that paper has now been peer-reviewed and published in the most reputed of journals of science. It has 117 scientists as co-authors, significantly up from the 92 last year. So 911 is 92 and it also is 711 or 117 because 9 is equal to 7. The paper is now titled The Formation of Human Populations in South and Central Asia. And what does it say on the question of steppe migrations? The same thing, but with even more evidence and detail. Here is a direct quote, and not just any quote, but the very essence of the paper. By sequencing 523 ancient humans, we show that the primary source of ancestry in modern South Asians is a prehistoric genetic gradient between people related to early hunter-gatherers of Iran and Southeast Asia. After the Indus Valley Civilization's decline, its people mixed with individuals in the southeast to form one of the two main ancestral populations of South Asia, called Ancestral South Indians or ASI, whose direct descendants live in southern India. Simultaneously, they mixed with descendants of steppe pastoralists who, starting around 4,000 years ago, spread via Central Asia to form the other main ancestral population, or ancestral North Indians. The steppe ancestry in South Asia has the same profile as that in Bronze Age Eastern Europe, tracking a movement of people that affected both regions and that likely spread the distinctive features shared between Indo-Iranian and Balto-Slavic languages. So this is the map. of the movement of Kazakhstan to Europe and to South Asia. I will go into this later. The first Indians. The reference to the early hunter gatherers of Southeast Asia is a reference to the Andamanese, whom the rest of the paper abbreviates as AHG. This is the same as the ancient ancestral South Indians that the earlier paper talked about, or first Indians, which is the term used in my book Early Indians. No matter which name you use, they all refers to the descendants of the out of Africa migrants who reached India around 65,000 years ago and then moved on to Southeast Asia, East Asia, and further on. Africa migrants is the first Indians. So this is what the abstract means in full. The primary source of ancestry for today's South Asians is a mixture of first Indians, which is the Africa migrants, and a people related to the hunter-gatherers of Iran. This mixed population created the agricultural revolution in northwestern India and built the Harappan civilization that followed. When the Harappan civilization declined after 2000 BCE due to a long drought, the Harappans moved southeastwards from northwestern India to mix with other First Indians to form the ancestral South Indian population whose descendants live in South India today. So the South India is the first Indians, which is the migrant from Africa, and then the North Indians is the Harappan civilization, which is the hunter-gatherers of Iran, and the mixed with the what's that called, steppe population. So that's why the South people living in the South, excuse me, they are darker than the people living in the North. That's a slight difference. Around the same time, the Harappans also mixed with steppe pastoralists who had by then migrated to North India through Central Asia to form the ancestral North Indian population. The steppe ancestry of the people of both South Asia and Eastern Europe in the Bronze Age explains how the movements of the Central Asians between the two regions caused the well-known similarities between the Indo-Iranian and Baltic Slavic languages. Maluha is the Sumerian name of a prominent trading partner of Sumer during the Middle Bronze Age. Its identification remains an open question, but most scholars associate it with the Indus Valley Civilization. Okay. Okay, so proto-Davidians with okay, this guy Ascol identifies proto-Davidians with the Indus Valley civilization and the Meluha people mentioned in Sumerian records. So Meluha derives from the Dravidian words Mel Akem, Merakem, Highland country. It is possible that IVC people exported sesame oil to Mesopotamia, where it was known as Ilu in Sumerian, Elu in Akkadian. One theory is that these words derive from the South Dravidian one, name for sesame. Okay, so sesame oil is from the Indus Valley civilization, which is Meluha, which is Dravidian, Proto-Dravidian, common ancestor of Dravidian languages. So which is they are Dravidian. Okay, so Dravidian. Dravidian peoples origins. The origins of Dravidians are a very complex subject of research and debate. They may have been indigenous to the Indian subcontinent, but origins in or influence from Western Asia have also been proposed. So early Dravidians formed as a mixture of ancient ancestral South Indians, so which is South Asian hunter-gatherers distantly related to the Andamansi and other East Eurasians, so which is Africa and Eurasia, which is the in Iran, and Neolithic West Asian farmers from Iran. He notes that there are two scenarios for the origin and spread of Dravidians. Either an origin from the Indus Valley region, which is based on genetic data as well as archaeological and linguistic evidence, in which Proto-Dravidian was spread by peoples of the IVC, or from the pre-Indus groups of Eastern Peninsula India, which would be consistent with vocabulary about floral and fauna of Peninsula India. The present people of the Indian subcontinent, including Dravidians, are of a mixed genetic origin and have ancestry from indigenous South Asian hunter-gatherers, Neolithic West Asian farmers from Iran and steppe, Yamnaya pastoralists, uh, Yamnaya pastoralists. So, which is actually the whole history is not about anything else, but is first of all is from Africa, migrants from Africa, then migrants from um, Iran, then migrants from steppe is I think is Ukraine or Kyrgyzstan, I will show the map later. So the whole India is a mixture of African in Iran and Ukrainian, uh, Kazakhstanian, which is the steppe. Yamnaya pastoralists. Okay, where did the Yamnaya come from? About 5,000 years ago, herders called the Yamnaya entered Europe from the eastern steppe region. In present day is Ukraine and Russia. These horse-riding metal workers may have brought Indo-European languages with them. Today, this language family comprises most of tongues spoken in Europe. So the steppe population is comprised of Ukraine and Russia, which is Russia because Ukraine originally is under Soviet Union and then break away. So now we can conclude that Harappans is still comprised of Africa, African, Iranian, Russian, and so the whole history of India is just the movement of when and where the migrants from. First of all, it's from Africa, then the Harappan, which is from Russia and Iran, mixed with the original migrants, which is African. Then after the Harappan's culture declined, then the steppe pastoralists migrate to India, North India, which is the Russian again. That's why it's Proto-Slavic languages mixed with this existing population. So the summary of the steppe population, which is from Russia. Here is the map and the orange area. And Western steppe herders. Cambodian is lower in Southern Europe and higher in Northern Europe, so which is the whole Europe, where inhabitants have roughly 50% WSH ancestry on average. It is linked to the migrations of Yamnaya populations dated to 3000 BCE. Third millennium Europe was a highly dynamic period involving large-scale population migrations and replacement. The Yamnaya migrations are linked to the spread of Indo-European languages. Okay, so let's take a look of the Vedas. Vedas in Sanskrit means knowledge, and the Star Wars movies, there's a character called Dark Vader. So that's the name where it's from. It's from the history here. Dark Vader means dark knowledge then. And Vedas is a culture from ancient Iran. So you know now is everything is connected to the war Spain in the Middle East and Russia. and all the ancient cultures, and China, right? So that is all about in the beginning of the time. The beginning of the time is when Adam and Eve casted down from heaven, and Satan, and then Sophia, which is Lucifer. Satan casted down to India, and then I think Sophia, she escaped. I mean, she ran away from heaven and landed in Saudi Arabia, that region, and then and the Exodus happened in Egypt, and Mount Hermon, which is all the fallen angels, uh, gathered there. I think it's near Russia also. And so the Himalayas is the where some of the fallen angels were chained under Himalayas. So it's the border of China, Tibet, India, Nepal, and Afghanistan. So these are all the ancient cultures. Of course, Star Wars is about the fallen angels. And the religious texts originating in ancient India, composed in Vedic Sanskrit. The texts constitute the oldest layer of literature and the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. So, Hinduism is from Vedic Sanskrit. The texts Sanskrit literature, which is belongs to the culture, which is Iran. So Hinduism actually is not from India. It's not representing India. It's technically is from the ancient Iran. So Hinduism is also related to Buddhism. I will show you later. Hinduism is here is the period of time